All right, guys, meet Jack Brewer. He used to play in the NFL, and according to reports and to himself, he's the one that spoke with President Trump about checking Elijah Cummings and his district. Now, I was sent this by Jeff, who sent me ABL's coverage. And just a quick aside, I like Anthony Brian Logan, but the cadence of his voice is something that I have to be in a mood for. Also, I wanted to get the direct feed of it. So apparently, Mr. Brewer here is the real MVP, and what I want to do is just break down his segment here on Fox Nation, and discuss like really where he's right in a lot of things. So let's do this. Seriously, we're pressing play. Oh my goodness, go back, start.
People are not held accountable by their peers. So at the end of the day, you've lost all your spirituality within your leaders. And that's what it comes down to. You got to get back and have some.
Okay, so the first thing I like the first place where I feel like we have a bit of a disagreement is he's calling the elected representation leaders. Technically, on paper, sure. In all actuality, no, not even. They are the epitome of followers. They do absolutely nothing without the blessing of their masters, of their political masters, regardless of who that be, whether it be at the local, county, or state level. They are nothing more than puppets that are there to push narratives more than to actually see the problems within these communities and aim to fix them. They're not there to fix anything. They're there to make sure that the tires keep spinning and the poverty and issues that are overabundant in these places remain. That they are overseers and nothing else. They are not leaders.
Spirituality to have a gauge of humanness, to have a gauge to be able to really want to give and want to do right for those young kids. And so you can't do that when your mind is on the dollar. We all know that.
He's right. He's right. Do you think that there's a coincidence that all urban centers have a church on damn near every corner? Tax write-offs and being a nonprofit plays a pretty huge role. But what it also does is provide moral Teflon to people to continue being the terrible human beings that they are. But because they go to church and, they pray about it, suddenly, they're the better person. I'm just going to leave it. How many times we hear, I'm just going to leave it in the hands of God. Oh, Lord, don't make no mistakes and stuff and all this other nonsense. And it's a complete abdication. It's a complete, trying to brush off any role that they may have in the circumstances that they find themselves in. That's really all it is. And I know that word abdication. I want to say abdication, whatever.
We're living in the flesh by always doing things for money. These politicians, and you talk about it. I had a chance to meet with President Trump, and I told him, please call out Elijah Cummings in Baltimore. I asked him to do that 3 weeks ago, and he did it.
So you're the real MVP when it comes to this. I mean, President Trump knows damn near nothing about urban America, okay? And there's no fault of his. He's rich. He's been rich for a very long time. This is where, his help comes from, but he ain't really worrying about it like that. And I think, and whereas it is politically advantageous for the president to call these people out, to call particularly Cummings or Waters, Payne, any of them. You can call any one of them out and it would all still resonate and operate in the same function. So, yeah, you, Mr. Brewer, are the real MVP in this scenario because their corruption, like they're overseers. Like I said previously, they're overseers more than they are leaders or people who have the true pulse or the best interest of just their regular citizens, their constituents in mind.
Because I had just left Baltimore, where I'm seeing these kids that don't have any core, no culture within them. They don't have anyone teaching them and training them. And the reason why is because they're...
Well, before he gets into his reasons, I'm going to let it be very known. Generations. Generations of the welfare state, generations of the drug war, generations of poverty, dismay, and the purposeful institutionalism of a lot of the constituents and the inhabitants of these places is why these children that you run across are just without any type of guidance or direction. This was put into place a very long time ago, and I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that Mr. Brewer would try to sit there, is going to try and blame it on damn near any and everything else. Me, it always goes back to the home. Each one of those kids are the product of two people that laid down together. Those people that laid down were being very irresponsible, and they've been encouraged to be very irresponsible via the welfare state and the need for, basically prison cattle. Because that's what these communities are. They're prison farms. They are designed to get the constituents and get the people of these communities in the jail as quickly as possible. That's it.
Politicians, their political leaders are going out and they're worried about the issues that raise them money. They worry about the issues that raise them money, and that is not the poor black kids. The poor black kids' parents.
Yeah, see that once again, you calling them leaders, man. They're not leaders. They are fundraisers, though. I mean, they can stack up a whole bunch of cash. And when it comes to congressional districts, yeah, they ignore those areas because within the congressional districts, and I think they do this all. You got the wealthy spaces, and then you got the not so wealthy spaces, the places where poverty was tripled under President Obama. So this isn't. It's not. How do I put it? Like, yeah, the elected class say absolutely nothing about the policies and the legislation that has led us to where we are right now, to where you're out there. I see it every day myself. These young kids with absolutely no manners, no respect, no sense of self, no sense of pride, and absolutely no goal, no greater goal or purpose in life other than to be what they are until they eventually find themselves, for the young men in prison and for the young ladies pregnant, making more prison cattle.
Parents do not donate money to their PACs and to their funds. When they can talk about illegal immigration, when they can talk about any other crisis that happens in our country, when the school full of white kids get shot, Elijah Cummings was front and center there. But when Baltimore has 4 people a day getting shot, Chicago has 8 people a day getting shot. I mean, we got at some point, we got to wake up and understand that this is cultural. If you are representing a... All
right, so before they cut back over, deal is that he's right. The tears that they're dropping for, the slangs that took place in Gilroy, El Paso, and Dayton, these are tears that wet the cheek of families in these urban centers forever without nowhere near the coverage. And that's not to say that any life, I genuinely believe we are all equal in death. Not in life, though. And when you meet your end and you meet your demise in such horrific and terrible manner, regardless of where it takes place, if it's in the middle of Detroit or if it's in 90210, it doesn't matter. The life that's lost is the life.
Population where 4 people are shot per day. And we look back, we see all the hype over El Paso, and my heart goes out to these people, right? Heart goes out to Dayton, Ohio. But the same weekend,
I want you guys to notice the banner at the bottom. Years of Democratic inaction leave urban communities in ruins. I disagree. Oh no, Democrats have been very active in urban communities. And trust me, they're still in ruins. But the Democratic Party completely runs the urban centers, and they've been able to do so by finding a few families, a few people that are willing to go along with the agenda of nothing but destroying the nuclear family and spreading degeneracy and degradation throughout these communities. That they what, you're in charge here. Do with it as you please. We'll give you the budget. We'll give you the money. We'll give you everything you want, everything that you need. You just make sure that in 10 years this place is ready to demand a police state and and just send people in prison, because throwing them away as opposed to fixing the environments that ultimately create these people is far more profitable.
51
Jesus, come on.
people were shot between Chicago and Baltimore, and no one says anything. And these are the same lives. And so when you talk about policing, because this is a huge issue, I serve as the national spokesman for the Police Athletic League. And when you demonize all police officers, what you do is send a...
Oh man, the PAL. What happened to that, right? I mean, even the local PAL that we used to have is now called the Chris Gatlin Center. That guy's in prison. But either way, yeah, like the PAL and the relationship when police used to be a part of the community. Like, those things are gone. Those things have gone the way of the dodo, because when the police and those who operate in these communities, after maybe a year or two, because a lot of police departments do require that you live in the district for a set length of time. After that, they're gone. Like, they're gone. And honestly, I mean, you don't treat your work refrigerator the same way you treat the refrigerator at home, do you? Of course not.
Message to that community. And if you look at Baltimore, and this is sad, and Governor, you probably know this, they shut down 5 or 6 of the National Police Athletic League buildings. So these kids, the lady said it just then, they don't have a community center to go for. So now you put their dad in jail. He's locked up in prison. They don't have anywhere to go after school. They have no choice but to be on a corner or do something wrong, because they have no one bridging that gap for them.
Okay, so that's the end of the video. And yeah, I don't want the next video to start at all. He's right. He's right. And it operates on several different levels. We're talking about, from the young ladies and the choices that they make, as in who impregnates them, what they're going to do. And then, okay, well, I like this dude's dreads, so I'm going to get pregnant. Boom. She gets pregnant. The welfare state is there to take care of her. The dude's off going, probably in prison, but also, just with a different baby mother. There's all that different types of drama from there. But all it is just really, and what gets lost in the sauce is that child and what that child experiences and what that child has to go through. And then they're left with this example, with this awful example of how to navigate life, or really no example. And one of the most infuriating things that I hear the most is that, oh, well, father figures are not the same thing as your biological father. Stop. It's ridiculous to continue to pretend like, oh yeah, well, we could just insert random male here and he'll do just as great a job. Like, deal is that, ladies, you should have picked him to have the kid with. Plain and simple. I recently did a video, the Steve Harvey video that I did. Yeah. Where the young lady's like, now that I'm pregnant, I want to pick a good guy. It don't work like that. It really doesn't. For reasons that I go into in that video. But yeah, I am appreciative of Mr. Brewer's contribution, and him asking the president to actually put a spotlight on it. Now, how long that spotlight lasts, it's already gone. I mean, we've had these other shootings, we've had Epstein. There's something else that's more than likely to take place in coming up. But we are just like, when it comes to our urban centers and in these communities, Republicans, you have a role to play as well. Because the way I see it is that the Republican, the red team, they finance it, and the blue team, they oversee it. They make tons of money. Dollar General stocks are looking fantastic now, aren't they? Why? Because these places ultimately become food deserts. Because the people that represent, or the quote unquote leadership of these areas, aren't interested in the welfare and the well-being of the people that represent them and elect them. They're only interested in, he hit on it, they're only interested in their campaign donors and what their campaign donors want. Because, they got to keep that seat. They got to keep that seat. So with that being said, we're going to bring this one to an end. All the internet stuff. If you liked it, toss it a like. Dislike, go ahead, do that too. Sub if you enjoy my fantastic voice and want to get videos like this every single day. Share, because sharing is caring. And guys, look at the numbers. YouTube's definitely not going to do Like, you talk out and you say, hey, yeah, that trans thing need to go. You talk out and you say, hey, yeah, when you're pointing out, when you're real, trust me, they ain't trying to give you no growth. Any growth that I do get comes from you guys, and I couldn't appreciate you more for it. And speak, let me know, what do you think in the comments. Shout out to Mr. Brewer, and until the next one.